Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video I'm going to present to you my findings from my 100 map magic find test, and we're going to compare those results to my last video where we had no magic find and see if magic find truly is still worth using in a solo context. I just want to quickly put that out there. In a group context, it's a completely different ball game. You should be using magic find if you're in any kind of a party with at least one player, and that's kind of what you want to be looking at. But solo, let's check out the results. But before we get started, I do quickly want to point out a few things. In my last video, there was a small error in the spreadsheet. The map by map profit was listed at 60 chaos. This is a mistake from when I copied the styles over from my emblem video. It said it was divided by 36 instead of divided by 100. The 13 exalts is still completely valid. It was just meant to be a little bit lower on the map by map profit. So if you saw that, I'm sure you scroll down and saw the comment anyway. You guys are pretty observant. There's that information out there. So let's get straight into it. This test is probably not aimed at the average player because of the massive amount of magic find. Most players don't want to play like this, but if you do want to be earning currency, I would recommend the other videos kind of set up in terms of your gear. Just go full speed. But anyway, for the matter of comparison, let's get straight into it. So we've got the general magic find gear on here. We've got the bow, that's 15%, gloves are 10%. The boots are 20%. The two rings here are 15% each. And then we have a bit of a spicy new introduction of the Eyes of the Great Wolf at 20%. So if you're magic finding, you do not need this item. It's not mandatory by any means. It's just something that I picked up because I have a lot of currency this league, and it's only marginally better than a normal 10% quantity amulet. So with that out of the way, we come out to about 95% increased item quantity, and I was running all of the maps solo with that amount of quantity. So that's pretty interesting. So we're going to have 95% quantity versus 0% quantity, and we will see the results. So one thing I also wanted to address from the last video is a lot of people are saying, oh, you'll never be able to achieve the last results, kind of like by yourself. You can't get 13 exalts from 100 maps. It's never going to happen. Don't even try. You need a headhunter to do this. But no, if you want to make some currency, I highly suggest that you still persevere. Do 100 maps with like what I said. It doesn't even need a B city square, and you will make exalted orbs. You might not go as fast as I do in the videos, but that's just because you don't have all of the really fun gear yet. And that's what you're working towards anyway. If you had that, you wouldn't even be playing. So it doesn't matter how fast you go. If you get those 100 maps done, you're going to see results similar to mine if you structure your atlas like mine and you pick similar maps to me. You're just going to see results. That's at the end of the day. You just need to put the hours in and do the maps, and you will get similar results. It doesn't matter the speed, and none of the gear I had on in that last video affected drops whatsoever. So it's completely accurate and will mirror what you will see in game, obviously with a bit of RNG sprinkled in there. So with all those disclaimers out of the way, let's get straight into the results and see if Magic Find truly lives up to the hype in terms of solo play. So we'll pull up the spreadsheet here and we will get straight into it. So this is the Magic Find test. So in this test, I did use a little bit more in terms of the resources. I used a few more white sextants. I mean, that's just RNG at play again. That's just how it is. So we did use a few more, and that is that. In terms of the quantity, we had 80% on the tooltip and 15% extra from the Wind Ripper bow. So that's 95 as we set. So a lot of people think that I got 100% quantity. That means I get 100% more loot. But I'm not sure about the exact math or anything like that behind the scenes, but that does not seem to be the case, at least for solo play in this example. So we're going to be going over a few things here in this video. But to begin with, I want to just point out the consistencies between the two tests. So a lot of the things remained very consistent between my two 100 map tests. And the things that I really want to point out are the kind of the incubators. We again didn't get any of those T16 kind of effective kind of incubators. However, I have read in the comments that you can get the geomancers and the time lost in lower tiers. They're just extremely rare. So that leads me to believe that the higher the tier you go up, the more common these things become. And this sounds like it kind of lines up with a lot of other people's findings. So you can find these, they're just very rare. So, but we did actually get a Thaumaturge's incubator here, one of them. That is technically one of the rarer ones in my experience, but everything else looks pretty par for the course. We got a lot of the similar kind of drops here. We got a few more of them, but that's just RNG in my opinion. They are not affected by quantity, and that is really interesting information to have. The next few things I wanted to point out here is the sacrificial fragments and the splinters. So with 95% quantity, we didn't actually see any increase in the amount of splinters we got. You can see here 140, 197, 184, 69, 38. And then you come over back to the other test, and we actually got more in the other test without quantity, which is pretty damn interesting in my opinion. So you can see some variance at play here, but you'd expect to see about a 20 or 30% more splinters with the magic find, because that's what we saw with the currency. So magic find confirmed it does not affect splinters, at least in this test. So yeah, that's pretty interesting information to have. And again, with the fragments, we all knew this already, but fragments are not affected by magic find either. We can see a very consistent kind of, obviously with a few variations, amount of sacrificial fragments here. And you can see that these are exactly pretty much lining up with a few differences, of course, on some of them. So very, very interesting information. We'll go back over the magic find now. Where things do change significantly is the currency section. So you'll be able to notice that we got far more tier 1 currencies. We actually got a total of 8 tier 1 currencies here instead of 4. That's double. However, I want to say and want to point out here that I think I got pretty unlucky in the last video in terms of tier 1 currency drops, just from my own anecdotal experience this league. I feel like they're a lot more common than 4 per 100 maps, and I think that kind of plays a part here, and that's kind of skewing the data a little bit there. Obviously, you could do bigger tests, but I don't really have the time, unfortunately, to do like 300 or 400 map tests on each side of one map. I think I'd go insane. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, you do see an increase here. Some of it might be because of the magic find, but also some of it might just be variance. So yeah, I mean, that's that. Take out of that what you will. But where we do see a very consistent increase in is in all of the other common currency items. So stuff like Val orbs, Chaos orbs, fusings, and Jeweler's orbs. So these are heavily influenced by the Legion monolith, which is why we don't see a massive jump in them, because a lot of the fusings and Chaos orbs and stuff like that do drop from like the jars and the chests from the Legion monoliths. So that makes up a lot of what Magic Find would normally give. In terms of increases, so it's possible it might be a 50 or 60% increase in fusings, but that's masked by the fact that the Legion monolith just gives so much free and consistent amounts of currency that it kind of offsets the benefits of Magic Find, which is what I was actually getting at in my other videos. So if we actually compare the two, we got about 200 more Jeweler's orbs out of using Magic Find, about 40 more fusings, and it looks like we got about 10 more Chaos orbs. I'm not going to go into all of them, but it's a pretty clear trend that you get about 10 to 20, maybe even 30% on some currencies more than the other test with Magic Find on. Now, there's obviously some examples here where, like Orbs of Alchemy, we actually got a pretty similar amount. Actually, I think it's pretty much exactly the same. We got 7 more alchemies than in the other test, so it's kind of a bit weird how that works. Although again, a lot of alchemies do drop from the army, so that's going to make things a little bit like kind of skewed. It's going to be a bit weird, but that's the point of this test, to really see if it's as good with the army present and the consistent drops to Magic Find anymore. So that's that. Obviously we have a lot more data here. Someone's like on Reddit, I saw they're like, oh, divine vessels don't drop, but I can confirm I've sold 50 just recently to some guy for 5 each. They do drop. I haven't been including them because I didn't realize they were worth so much currency. But in the other video, we actually did get one. I remember putting it in my stash, so we'll add that in there. There you go. We'll just do a quick amendment there. So yeah, we got 1 in this test, I do remember that, and then we got 2 in this test here. Again, Perennis coins not included because they're a bit weird. I don't want to include those. So in this test, you'll see some weird round numbers on some of the splinters. That's because I took Zoth and Esh off of my loot filter. But we did actually get some Breachstones in this test from the army. So we've got 300 splinters here, which just came from Breachstones. You can see it's not worth a lot of currency, but that's that there it is. It's over here now. So, yep, everything else is pretty consistent, looking good. We get some unique here, unique items here, like all this kind of stuff. We got some prophecies. Pretty much all this stuff is either from random drops, like the Lion's Roar, or the Koshri's Malice, or the prophecies. You can see actually a lot of currency comes from prophecies. Well, not a lot, but a little bit from the prophecies here. So like Twice Enchanted, Monster's Treasure, all that kind of stuff like that. Next up, we have fossils. Again, more currency from the monolith. Which is pretty exciting. I think the monolith is a large amount of the currency that you will be making in terms of like these weird one-off drops. Now I'm gonna go over this because it happened in the run, but I'm not gonna go into detail about it. I did get a betrayal encounter which netted me 639 chaos. I'm gonna remove this for this example here because that is way gonna skew the results and gonna mess up everything. So we'll remove that. Just don't worry about that one. But yeah, betrayal again. If you don't know, look into it, do some research, and you will be able to make a lot of currency right now. If I just blow it out there and tell everyone, no one will make any currency off it. Unfortunately, it is a very narrow market, and if you do the research, you will be rewarded, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So that is that. So the profit actually comes out to be a lot less. Well, not a lot less, but it comes out to be pretty similar due to the fact that we didn't get any T1 kind of drops here, and the Chayula Bridgestone flip is not included. If we remove the Chayula Bridgestone flip really quick, I'll undo all this stuff afterwards for the consistency of the videos, but if we remove those, where is that thing? Then we'll actually be able to get a really accurate look here at what we're seeing. So with that betrayal, you do make a little bit more currency off of Magic Find. Again, you can't really make too many conclusions off the final profit number due to the fact that we did get some unique drops like Wind Ripper and stuff like that in this first one. So it should be lower if we didn't get, for example, a Wind Ripper. But then again, that is RNG, and that is what PoE is all about. I think if you're trying to decide whether or not to use Magic Find, what you should be looking at is like stuff like the Jeweler's Orbs. Like, do you feel like it's worth it to use that Magic Find to get an extra 200 Jeweler's Orbs per 100 maps, an extra 40 fusings per 100 maps? If the answer to you is yes, then use the Magic Find. If the answer is no, which it will be for me, I don't think it's worth it, then don't use the Magic Find. And the reason I say no is the following. Because I know, okay, we'll go back over here. We'll talk to Jun. So a lot of what makes you currency these days is these weird kind of one-off league mechanics. So we're talking about like stuff like if you're doing T16s like Soul Fight, we're talking about Jun, we're talking about temples, the monolith, another great introduction. You're going to be getting more of these per hour if you're using movement speed. And in addition to that, a lot of the currency I make is off map drops, like map sales, selling maps. These are not affected by Magic Find. Fragment sales, these are not affected by Magic Find either. The splinters, so like the Marrakech splinters and stuff like that, not affected by Magic Find. So the faster you go, the more you will earn. Let's say I could have run an extra 20 maps with my movement speed and better gear on because I died and stuff like that with the Magic Find gear on. That's already more money than the Magic Find was ever giving me in that example. So you can get more of these things, way more of them in fact, and you will be able to get more and more rewards. You can see here, I just need to upgrade it to Fled a bit more and put the bar up here, and that's potentially another 6 exalts just off there. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do that. You guys can figure that on your own. But white sockets are pretty good these days, I heard. So yeah, and they've also got it did Fled there, which is pretty damn cool. And obviously the Sulfite Scarabs, all that kind of stuff. So you're going to be making a lot of currency off Betrayal if you're smart about it. You're going to be making a lot of currency just off the monoliths and other weird stuff that goes on in the map, like the frags and stuff like that. So I think the end of the day, here is what I think. Magic Find is great for group play. It's fantastic if you're doing 3-man kind of burial chambers farming doctors. You'd be silly not to wear the Magic Find, wouldn't you? But if you're playing solo, I think we're finally at a point where you don't have to use it, and it's not even as good to use it. And that makes me very excited, because I hate that stat so damn much. I want it to go in the bin, and that's just my opinion. So that's going to be the video, guys. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed and gained a little bit of knowledge out of this. Again, all the data is my own data. You may have varying results with your own data. Obviously the proof is there. I haven't like changed anything for any sort of agenda or anything like that, like people say. It's just there. You guys can make your own conclusions. This is just my opinion. If you think Magic Find is the best thing since sliced bread, all power to you. Keep using it, and hopefully you get really good results. I hope you do. That's gonna be the video, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.